Good evening, everyone, and welcome to SimRace.tv, Channel 1 for the first round of the 2013 LFSCART series from Aston Grand Touring Reversed. May 4th, 2013, we'll have 32 racing laps and a fantastic track this is, a fantastic series this is, a challenging car this Formula V8 is. John Palmer along with Dominik Engel. Dominik Engel, a long-time participant in the LFSCART series. He's going to kind of take a step back from actually racing this season. He'll do a few races, but when he's not racing, he'll be with us in the commentary booth. And Dom, what do you expect for this season? What do you expect for this race?
The season, it's very hard to expect something from the season because this year we don't have, well, my team isn't here, I'm not there, Inex isn't there, so it's very, very open, I think, especially over 9 races. And, well, this race is going to be not the easiest of starts to a season that I've experienced.
Indeed, the LFSCART series uses a unique starting format. The field will do one formation lap, and then they'll come back to the grid. Once everyone's set, the race director will trigger the system to start lights. There'll be a 5-second pause before the first light comes on. Then they'll come on 1 second at a time, just like in Formula One. 5 lights, 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second, 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, all lights will be on, and then there will be a pause of between 2 to 5 seconds. Sometime during that period, the lights will go out and we'll be underway. First turn is, of course, the chicane, which, if this were Aston Grand Touring and not Aston Grand Touring Reversed, or if this were Guild Grand Prix, or Aston Grand Prix, excuse me, or Aston Historic, this would be the last corner, but we know how tricky the chicane is the other way around, but how tricky is it this way around, Dom?
Well, I think it should be not too bad. I think everyone knows there's really only one line, and they should sort themselves before entering it. Although there's also a big chance of messing up the exit, which then, of course, leaves you as a sitting duck waiting to be overtaken by charging people behind. But generally, the start, it should be fine. Especially, although I could see that there can be potential issues since it's incredibly hard to pass around here, and everyone just wants to get the positions at the earliest opportunity and not wait for it any minute longer.
Also in this season, the race lengths have been reduced. Last year, they're about 300 kilometers long. This year, they're 250. Last year, there was no compulsory pit stop because the race distance was so long that it usually required, just to finish the race, that you would either have to refuel or change tires. But since it's a little shorter, it'll be a little closer. Um, so, Dom, what do you think the strategy is with this compulsory pit stop? Do you think that this track is going to cost enough fuel or cost enough tires that those will have to be changed? Remember, there's no service required on the compulsory pit stops.
I think the benefit from changing tires could be big enough to make it worth it because the corners here, especially around the first and second sector, are so fast. I mean, entering, I think, turn 3, you're going 260 kilometers an hour flat out, and just dabbing down a gear. It's a massive stress for the tires, and they heat up a lot. The wear is actually not that big, but the heat is the bigger factor, which really leads to you using a lot higher tire pressures than if it was the other way around on the track. And I guess a lot of people could maybe even do, I don't know, 66%, 33% race length strategies, maybe even 50-50 for some. But then a safety car could completely throw anything out of the window, so I guess we'll have to see.
So in this season, we'll take a look at the schedule as you've been seen on the screen for the last few minutes. This is round 1. Each round is 2 weeks apart. We've got round 2 at Blackwood, round 3 West Hill, then K32R, an open config, the only open config this season, round 4, the Speedweeks Road 250K, 15 June. Then, of course, round 5, the 6th annual Kyoto 500 on June 29th. Then after that, South City. Then KY1R for round 7. Then we go to Fern Bay Gold reversed. And then we finish the season at Kyoto National. Seems like a pretty challenging season, Dom.
Yeah, certainly, especially coming from this track to the next track. I mean, it's the two extremes. This is the longest track LFSCART has ever used lap time wise, and Blackwood is the shortest. So yeah, if a strategy miscalculation at Blackwood, for example, can cost you a lap, where here it would cost you maybe 30 seconds, something like that, and you could catch it up on the safety car, you'd be fine. And certainly the over races, I think, might make it tougher for anyone who does all the races, because it's a lot of bad luck there.
Yep. So back to this track, it's got that technical sweeping undulating section that's very common in the long Aston configs, so the Aston North config, which requires high downforce to get through those corners fast. But you've also got the long main straight, the long back straight, and the long, fast, sweeping, undulating national section, which is pretty straight. So isn't this a very tricky setup compromise track between straight line speed, low downforce, and then high downforce cornering speed?
Yeah, it's basically where you gotta make the compromise, and usually you make the compromise on the tires, because you have to run medium downforce here. You cannot afford to run high wings. You're way too slow down the straights if you do. And so what happens is that most people are going to run very high tire pressures to compensate and to make sure their tires do not overheat too much during their hottest phase, and to keep them manageable and drivable, because especially coming after the left-right chicane up the hill and then into the chicane, rejoining the AS1 section, that's a very, very tricky corner, coming from so high speed to such a slow corner where you basically have no grip at all in these cars.
Alrighty, we are on the grid. Taking a look at the back, you see in the furthest car back, the FZ50 driven by Stuart Baker, our safety car driver for this season. And we've got one of our new NDR admin helpers, Thomas Harris, an Australian, joining us to a rescue car. Field will take the one formation lap here. We've got Ilari Yusela on the pole. So away we go for the formation lap. And we'll take a look at the grid. On pole, Ilari Yusela. Second, Tony Latinmäki. Artu Lostalo for Team Virus. Third. Fourth, Valtteri Pitkanen. Timo Sunninen. Fifth. Jesse Telkala. Sixth. Robin Heiderman, a returning past champion, is 7th. Remco Minor, 8th. 9th is Samsa Yorvantsu. 10th, Oscar Hardwick. 11th, Yanni Vahakulovas. 12th is Nathan Lamont. 13th, Skirmantas Stankavicius. 14th is Prismek Radoviars. 15th, Jack Atkinson. 16th, Ray Kingsbury. 17th, Roland Campars. 18th is Matthias Pipkela, Raymond Blahoff 19th, 20th Yaroslav Danilik, Matt Kingsbury 21st, 22nd Jake Cooper, 23rd Ronnie Krampus, Stephen Martin 24th, Zdenek Kagash 25th, Owen Harmon 26th, 27th, Marius Yakna, and Cem Dalda 27th. Dom, turn 1, what do you expect?
Well, I expect at least the first 10 to get through relatively safely. I hope there isn't too much argy-bargy. There are, I have to say, a few names I have not seen in past seasons, so let's hope they get through safely as well. It could be quite chaotic, I don't know. I think it will be either immensely great or immensely awful, because that's how usually turn ones of a first race go. Only two options for those.
Yep, and our apologies for these difficulties we just had. We've had the TV director and an in-sim issue, but we've hopefully sorted it all out, and hopefully we'll be good to go for the rest of the race. So as we take a look as the field snakes down the back straight, Ursula holding the pace in the cream yellow and purple core racing car. Core racing has participated in pretty much every season, so they're well known here in the LFSCART realm. Dom, who are some of your favorites for this race?
Well, I think Ilari's got to be on top of everyone's list after bad run in qualifying, which put him 1.2 seconds ahead of the rest of the whole field. So it would be surprising to see him not pull away from the start. Otherwise, I have really no idea. If he doesn't do it, it could be anyone. Especially, I mean, we saw in the LFSCART light race yesterday that anything can happen, especially with a few safety cars. So it's hard to predict really what will happen, who will finish where, who's expected to do what, and so on. Cars are now slowly coming towards their grid spots. Let's hope no one pulls a Physicella and completely misjudges where he should be starting. Which actually is quite hard with the start system that's in place.
No, this system's not like the old one where we had you had to go to your exact spot you spawned from. This one just says whatever order you go to. Final cars are straggling in now. Chimdalda in last.
It's of course, that's the problem if you're the leader, of course you have to wait the longest after having spent that whole lap warming up your tires, or trying to at least. It looks like everyone's in place now.
Yep, all cars are in position. 5 to light. So here we go. Ready for LFSCART 2013. Ursula on pole. Lights out. Away we go. And Letty Mackey's lagging up the start. He's come back just in time.
That could have ended up very badly, but Ursula got the good start. Certainly could keep his spot ahead of the back behind. Good contact in the back, well, in the back, yeah. Nothing too major, seems that everyone's still pointing the right way.
Krampus caused the yellow flag in turn 4. He's still good. Sorry, my TV director controller is having problems, and hydrogen is off.
Ooh, that's a very bad place to go off, especially trying to rejoin then. He's got huge damage as well on the right rear. Oh well, that updated just now. If it lagged a bit on the damage report, and ooh, he's off again, trying to avoid another car. And, oh god. Yeah, that's probably the worst possible start for Robin Eichmann there. Looks like he had contact with the number 8 of Telkala, if you trust the race in-sim admin thing. Is obviously its appropriate name. And we're coming down into the very, very twisty bit for the first time. Top of the field, it's really like, well, it's not really a chicane, it's not really a hairpin, it's just a place to really misjudge your braking point or get it perfectly right. Only these two options. most of the field seems to be still, well, doing so. There's no big crash yet. Well, there has been one big off, but most of the field seems to be doing relatively okay.
Usually, of course, being the pole sitter sits the first fast lap. So yeah, apologies for all these technical difficulties. We're trying to sort things out, so if we're quiet or if we're not really following any of the action very well.
Cannon at the moment is under huge pressure from Telkula. Just a little bit of a contact. You also got overtaken by Sunan. We obviously don't know what the fuel loads of these cars are because we aren't mind readers. Who knows? Strategies could pan out completely differently. Cars that were never meant to be together on the track are gonna run together probably at some point at the end of the race, which we are rather far away from because we're only on lap 2. While Matt Kings has already been in the pits, so have Ray Kings and Ronnie Krompers as well. Oh, and there seems to have been a little bit of a coming together after the downhill section in sector 2. 86 is involved, and car 60, that's Dalda and Pipelka. Both going off track there. Pipelka with rather big damage to his left front suspension. And, well, same for Dalda. His car has a slight offset when it comes to what wheelbase it has, because the wheelbase on the right is somewhat shorter than on the left. On the top of the field, it now at the moment looks though as if Yosela could not separate himself from the field as much as expected. Because Latamaki is relatively close to him. Of course, those two are teammates. I hope they won't do any silly stuff if they get closer to each other. Past this lap with a 2-minute 22.88, so we're miles off the qualifying pace at the moment, 4 seconds slower. The tyres and... Oh, and Oscar Hardwick spins out of 1. Just put a wheel off there on the grass. Quick 180, no 180, and gets going again, but could be that he's gonna be taken by Jack Atkinson if he's not careful. No, he got a corner relatively right, so only a few places lost for Oscar Hardwick there. Dalda into the pits. And so our pit so the two guys who were just involved in an incident are also mending their cars. Oh, and Ulestalo is spinning. He's spinning in a very weird place. How did that happen? Something must have completely gone wrong there. I'm sure he was helped into that, but actually I almost suspect he did it on his own. Just put a wheel off on the grass, which is, well, this track's full of corners where you can do that and go for a spin. As many people are finding out at the moment. Battle between 17 and 26. Those are Atkinson and Lamoff. Lamoff may have just gotten around Atkinson there. Or 12th position. But the front things are more spreading out. New fastest lap 2:22.49, so we're only 3.5 seconds away from our pole position time by our pole position setter Ilaria Sella in the core car. Really amazing how much harder tires, lower camber, heavier car, and so on affect the lap time around here. It's 3 seconds is a lot.
And again, sorry to everyone watching for these technical difficulties we're having. We're not quite sure what's going on. Trying to have a look through as quick as we can.
And we've got potential battles developing at the moment here for first position between the two core teammates of Yasela and Letinmaki, and also between Stankiewicz and Ilestalo for 9th position. Ilestalo, who just took his car for a bit of a spin entering sector 2 on top of the hill. Which, well, we're not sure about if he caused that himself or if he was pushed into it. But I almost think he caused it himself. New fastest lap by quite a margin, 2:21.60 by Timo Sunninen. Another one of the core racing drivers. He's in 3rd position. He's obviously not happy with his teammates just leaving him alone back there. He wants to join in and have fun too. Robin Heigerman apparently off again, seems to have taken a bit of a trip over the grass there, exiting the chicane. Which isn't too surprising, seeing how knackered his car is after that off in lap 1. Well, lap 2 in LFS, but lap 1 of the scored laps. When Sunninen now right up the back of Latinmaki, and he's taking a draft, trying to go around the outside. Latinmaki gives him, well, he actually brakes on the straight and lets him by, so I think there was probably a bit of communication going on between those two to make it not too difficult for each other. Who also just had Cooper in the Infinity car go by Campars for Race Green Autosports on the back straight. A very good passing opportunity in the back straight. Nice long straight, drafting works very well there. You have to do the pass early because, well, that hairpin chicane wannabe thing doesn't leave you much of an opportunity to do so. I can see everyone's running relatively high tire pressures, not a lot of core temperature in anyone's tires really, just to avoid the surface from overheating during heat peak. Benjamin now taking a position for the 16th. Well, on what is going to be a bit of a comeback drive here. Points count towards the season, so obviously every point is important. The more points you have, the better, as per usual. A good good two pairs of cars were in form of Yavansu and their Corpus for 6th and 7th, and Major and Stankovic followed by Olestalo for 8th, 9th, and 10th, who are, well, very close to go out at the moment. So close to go out, Olestalo actually ran into the back of Stankovic, which, well, generally isn't a thing you should do, and these cars especially not, because they're very, very, very fragile. Well, not very fragile, but also by just giving something a little bit of a hit or a clip, the whole balance of the car can be offset and you can almost spin off if you're not careful. Fastest lap of the race again, 2:21.47 by Timo Sonninen. 2.5 seconds away now from the qualifying pace. So we're getting faster and faster and closer to the times we saw in qualifying. He's also definitely catching up with his teammate Gisela in the lead. Who knows what that could develop into. I hope they're not just going to give each other way like Latinmaki just did with Suninen. That would be a bit of a shame. Yes, there's a race. This is a race, and there should be battles in a race. Well, Campar's in the pits. Ulastalo has been in the pits. Remember, everyone in the race has to do a mandatory pit stop. No work is required, but most people will either change tires or refuel or both. Most people, and I say most people, I almost mean, well, basically everyone driving through this race on a set of tires and a tank of fuel might be a bit slow at the start and even slower at the end. And we've got Suninen trying to apply pressure on Gisela. Trying to go as early on the throttle as possible out of these corners. It's lost out a couple of meters, but then this last hairpin could change it all. You have to get it spot on to get the best possible exit. And I think Suninen got a bit of a better exit than Gisela, and he's going for the overtake. Drafts by. Gisela does not fight back, so maybe Suninen was on a shorter strategy. Who knows? We're yet to see, I guess. Ooh, almost overcooks it through a chicane and throws all the work he's done in the past laps away again. But looks like he's gonna be in first position for now. Gisela, a bit of a slidey exit out of turn 2. He's gonna, well, be in second for now at least. And our first DNF, Daldo, has just retired from the race. Comes our first DNF of 27 runners, so we effectively still have 26 cars in the race, which are all still on the lead lap, which on a track as long as this isn't really the biggest surprise, but it's worth mentioning anyways. Also has to be finished at the top 7 drivers in this race are from Finland, which is certainly not something I've seen in previous seasons. Yeah. Sunnen now with a bit of a comfortable gap, Lehtomäki dropping back, maybe even falling into the clutches of Telkula a bit, who seems to be going strong as well, down in 4th. Pitkänen is with a very consistent performance so far, down in 5th. Who knows, someone like him could jump quite a lot of places if he goes for the right strategy. For a long strategy, long first stint, nice short pit stop. Somewhere around the area of maybe lap 24 or something. Relatively late in the race. And behind you have Veikkopis and Samsi Avantso. Behind Oscar Hardwick's now passing Skimanta Stankovičius for 9th place. Draft by already easily passed before the first corner. Stankovičius were running right onto the grass in the draft there. Has to be careful rejoining. That almost went wrong. But caught it at the end, so nothing too bad. It's a very tricky corner, that chicane. It's so bumpy trying to cut over the curbs, and of course, you know how well Formula cars react to bumps. I mean, it's well known that Red Bull and Adrian Newey have designed a line of rally cars in the last few years. A bit further back, we have Robin Heidemann on the back of Jack Atkinson. This is for 12th position. Made a couple of places up since the last time. Oh, whoa, that's a very daring place to pass. You don't pass through there. Pass through the Grand Prix chicane. Well, that's a very daring move, but Atkinson gave him room there when he saw that he was going to try it. So kudos to both of them for not having a massive accident there. Yeah, Robin Heidemann up in 12th position. His next target will be Nathan Lamoff. But Timo Sönönen again fastest lap 2:21.03. So he, well, I wouldn't say almost definitely it's got to be on a shorter strategy, but seemingly is on a shorter strategy than Jesela, because you don't drive a 3/4 of a second faster than Ilario Jesela if he sets the pole position by 1.2 seconds. We also have Telkula challenging for 3rd place in the draft of Lehtomäki, going past there for a super fast left-hander now into the right-hander. Lehtomäki will have to back out of that one if he doesn't want to go straight on into a wall, and he does. So Lehtomäki now down to 4th. Telkula up to 3rd. maybe he's gonna fall into the clutches of Pitkinson as well. Certainly wouldn't say no to a 4th place. Well, nor would anyone who's behind 4th place.
Okay, so while we're trying to check these issues, as part of our diagnostic process, we are going to try to switch to another stream channel. So if anyone who is still watching, we apologize for this inconvenience. We would appreciate it if you would switch to channel 4, stream channel 4. You can simply change the 50 in your link to 53 to get that. That would take you there, or go to simrace.tv and click channel 4. We'll switch here in just a minute.